You can see why people don't really want to do this. We've just pulled up to the other hut site. Digger's here, ready to demolish. House, digger. So last night I was lying in bed thinking about like how nice is the native timber in there and how much of a shame it is to see it like meet its fate with the digger, and wondering, could we rip some floorboards up and reuse them? Bearing in mind that our experience is not ripping poems apart, our experience is putting them together. Well, usually you see us putting houses together. Let's have a go at pulling this one apart. We've got the crowbars. That's not normally what we use in new builds. I'm Josh, a builder here in New Zealand, and this house is getting demolished in 12 hours tomorrow morning. So the house has been around since the 60s, so a lot of it is worse for wear. The brick is cracking on the outside, the concrete tiles are at the end of its life. The reality is now that we have decided to move it and put 5 in its place, we're stuck in this awkward phase where we can't lift this one up and move it, and the time that it would take to strip it piece by piece, and then where do we store those materials, and pulling all those old nails out and all of that stuff means that it ends up in the too hard basket, and that's a real shame. When I was doing my apprenticeship, we would take down roof tiles and we would take ceiling tiles and we would take old doors. I reused as much things as I could in my own reno, and you can do that when you're the one doing the work and you haven't put a cost on your time to do that. But when you then need to pay people's wages and pass all that cost on, basically when you're running a business and you have to pay the guys and you've got to choose between sending them here to strip everything and then you don't even know where you're going to put all the materials, or sending them to another job, you know what you get chosen. So renos was a large part of my apprenticeship, and we can do them. Watch this video here. Yeah, so this floor is Rimu Taka, 110 wide. In an ideal world, we'd rip up all of these. You could even reuse all the old architraves and skirtings. You could go as far as these Rimu studs in there. Worst case, they're good for firewood, but even that, they're full of nails, they're full of old stuff. It's just become so much work. It's really unfortunate, but it's the reality of it. The old Milwaukee struggling. Thing will be getting one started because we've already damaged this one. Here's an important lesson.
Charge your batteries.
Yeah. And the power's been switched off, so you'll have to make do. So what are we going to do? Okay, round 2. Right, let's see if we can get it up, Sam. Ta-da! Start with a clean, fresh board. So we've got 2 options here. We can either punch the nails in, or we can try and cut. You can see why people don't really want to do this. as you can see, it actually takes just as much work, if not more, than putting it down. There's one board, kind of.
One board takes how long?
Yeah, well, how long was that? Mother. Yeah. I didn't say that on camera. So we got one board up, and that's taken us a lot of mucking around. So yeah, next best bet would be to get a nail punch. We've got 2 boards up, but in the process we've damaged 2 boards. And that's a great example of why this kind of work's time consuming. Sure, with a bit of a different approach, like we've talked about getting the chainsaw, cut the floor out, bang the joists off from underneath. No matter which way you cut it up, it's messy work, it's hard work, and it's going to be marginal returns. So we've actually decided to pull the pin. So that's a great example of why it's not cost effective to recycle. And then how do you use a floorboard that's kind of damaged, kind of already been used in a new house? I'm not saying it's not impossible, I'm not saying there's better ways to do it. There definitely is. Bearing in mind that our experience is not ripping homes apart, our experience is putting them together and putting them together in a way to stand the test of time so they don't get ripped apart. These old houses are bulletproof. It is real hard to pull it apart and to do it in a way that retains the integrity of the wood, like just splinters of floorboards all over the place. And there are people out there who specialize in that, and that's clearly not us. And I think one of the other things is timing. A demolition is just one chink in a chain of literally 100 items. And last week we got the power drop, we got the asbestos sorted, we got that signed off today, and then the demos tomorrow. Like, there's a real little window to be able to come in and do this kind of stuff. And also it's just health and safety. Like, if this is our building site, the more people we let on and the more work they do and the more dangerous it is, that all comes back on us. I'm glad I gave it a crack, you know, because I was lying in bed thinking, man, it's such a shame to waste all of that native timber. But it's good to know that it's not just as easy as like click your fingers and it'll all come up and then we can magically use it somewhere. Definitely not that easy.